Welcome to episode number 202 of the Beyond Social Media Show, the podcast for all of you marketing, advertising, public relations, and communications professionals. We are recording live on YouTube on September 22, 2017. Plenty of topics to talk about this week, including Dotard through the ages, Destination Pizza, Mikeless, audio stories, power searching, stranger cease and desist, He-Man dancing, Harambe 2.0, juvenile Vikings hire, Facebook's Nazi algorithm, fake attorneys, and much, much more. BL, kick it off with the best story of the week. Tell me what that was, please.
Well, this week, millions of people, probably gazillions of people, learned the meaning of the word dotard. It's a little bit of gallows humor tonight, since it becomes more clear every day that we're soon going to be involved in World War III. But in response to Trump's very bellicose UN speech the other day, in which he actually, in a world stage, referred to Kim Jong-un as Rocket Man, the North Korean leader shot back with, "I will surely indefinitely tame the mentally deranged U.S. dotard with fire." I looked that up just before the show, and there were 250,000 total shares of articles about dotard today, 2.2 million searches today in Google. And so Webster defines dotard as a person who is in a state of senile decay marked by a decline of mental poise and alertness. But a Korean person who goes by I'm going to screw up the name, the Jihai Lee, explained on Twitter the original Korean statement means old beast lunatic, which was then translated into dotard. And frankly, I thought that was an absolutely remarkable description. But the word's been around for a very long time. It was used by Chaucer in the Canterbury Tales. Shakespeare used it a lot in The Merchant of Venice and King Lear. And in his book, Shakespeare's Insults, one of my all-time favorite books, it was linked to French radoter, which means to repeat things several times because one forgets. And then J.R. Tolkien was fond of dotard, for example, in Lord of the Rings, in which Saruman said to Theoden, "Dotard, what is the house of Earl but a thatched barn where brigands drink in the reek and their brats roll on the floor among the dogs?" It was always a popular pejorative in literature and beyond. I had so much fun doing this research. The word was used as an insult to Andrew Jackson, who's one of Trump's heroes, and by Union Army General George McClellan to describe his Civil War predecessor, General Winfield Scott, who he did not like. He called him a perfect imbecile, a dotard, and a possible traitor. And then Helen Keller Hands tweeted, "By making people look up the word dotard, Kim Jong-un has done more for American education than Betsy DeVos." And I thought Richard Hines summed it all up best when he said, "In the future, all wars should be war of the world. War of words. All wars should be wars of words." It's hard to get out, you know?
Right.
But oh my God. You know, I looked it up last night and I thought, oh, this is going to be, nobody's going to know what this means. And as it turned out, nobody did. But our North Korean lunatic friend over there has a better vocabulary, much better. But it's hard to say which one has the better hair, you know?
Yeah, well, would we only be able to send a cease and desist notice to those two and kind of tone down the rhetoric a bit? Unfortunately, that's not possible. But Netflix has found a way to send a cease and desist notice. This is from PR Daily article by Carlin Twed. Netflix attorneys sent a novel search and desist letter to Emporium Arcade Bar, which had launched an unauthorized Stranger Things themed pop-up bar. If you're not familiar with Stranger Things, it's a hit Netflix show set in the 80s, so very nostalgic for us who grew up in the 70s and 80s. But let me read you the cease and desist letter. It is classic. Danny and Doug. So it's addressed to Danny and Doug Marks, who are the owners of the Emporium Arcade Bar. Danny and Doug, my walkie-talkie is busted, so I had to write this note instead. I heard you launched a Stranger Things pop-up bar at your Logan Square location. Look, I don't want you to think I'm a total wasteoid, and I love how much you guys love the show. Just wait till you see season 2. But unless I'm living in the upside down, I don't think we did a deal with you for this pop-up. You're obviously creative types, so I'm sure you can appreciate that it's important for us to have a say in how our fans encounter the worlds we build. We're not going to go full Dr. Brenner on you, but we ask that you please, 1, not extend the pop-up beyond its 6-week run ending in September, and 2, reach out to us for permission if you plan to do something like this in the future. Let me know as soon as possible that you agree to these requests. We love our fans more than anything, but you should know that the Demogorgon is not always as forgiving, so please don't make us call your mom. Thanks. That is the best cease and desist letter ever. It actually let them go through with their promotion and everything, but made the point that you shouldn't be doing this in a very hilarious way, which earned media, and it wasn't something that was just your typical lawyer from a letter, the letter from a lawyer.
Well, I think that's really wonderful. So the other thing that I thought that was pretty wonderful this week was when Brooke Baldwin pulled the mic on a male chauvinist pig, and this is from her story. And she was, oops, wait a second. She was on the air and she was being insulted, and so she just pulled the mic. That's it. It's not happening anymore. You don't speak about women this way in 2017, and that's it. We're just not going to have it.
There you go.
That I've been a journalist for 17 years. People need to hear all kinds of views, but demeaning women for the hell of it is never okay. And that's all there is to it. And so she just pulled the mic. I thought that was wonderful.
All right. So pulling the mic on a audio interview. Conversely, NPR is teaching print journalists how to tell audio stories. They've got a Google document that they've posted that includes that they're working on. It's like a working document they're getting feedback from people on about training for how print journalists can treat and can tell audio stories, which is decidedly different from print from audio. So some of the points they make in the document is our ears can only handle one fact or idea per sentence. If you think about the beginning sentence of a typical print journalism piece, it's filled with facts. The period, the inverse period, who, what, where, why, when, all of that stuff is packed in the first sentence or two. But our ears can't handle all that overload of information. So short declarative sentences, speak it before you write it. So you hear it before you write it. Don't use dependent clauses. So it makes the point that we don't tell people, my father, who spent 40 years teaching physics, is a smart guy. We're more likely to say, my dad spent 40 years teaching physics. He's a smart guy. So just the way that people get information through their ears versus through their eyes is markedly different. Again, forget the inverted pyramid. There's just way too much information in that. It isn't a good format for creating narrative arc either. You want to hold back some information if you're telling a story, which is telling a story is different in audio, obviously, than print. And so this article this document will be published alongside NPR's excellent training articles at training.npr.org. But again, it's a working document that they're getting feedback from right now. But it's fantastic what NPR is doing with this stuff.
Well, NPR's podcasts are just so fantastic, and obviously they really know what it takes to get people to listen, and they go for such complicated topics, and yet they explain them. You can't stop listening. It's so cool, really.
Right.
So I came across something that I'm doing right now, and Google has a free Power Searcher course. It's a self-paced course, and you end up with a certification as a Power Searcher. It's got great content, and it's free. And it got my attention immediately when I failed the assessment test that precedes the class. Presumably, that is there to, I hope that's not just there to get you to take it. But they asked you really obscure questions, and I immediately learned, new things just in the first lesson. So I'm really looking forward to the rest of them. And then at the end of it, you get yet another Google certificate. We have Google Channel Creator, analytics, and advertising, and now we have the opportunity to have Power Searching, and it's really worth doing.
I will have to try that because I do consider myself a Power Searcher.
Me too.
So we'll
I was so surprised when I failed. I had like 0 in the first 5 questions, but wait till you see it.
Yeah, I'll take it. I'll probably pass it along to our staff as well, because
worth doing. I mean, I learned so much about searching for images. I didn't know, for example, that you could search for all images with a purple background or a blue background. Did you know that?
Oh yeah.
You knew that. All right. Well, there you go.
I spend most of my days searching for stuff. So
you spend most of your days looking for things with purple background.
Yes.
I figured when you were looking up Prince, you wanted that.
Right. Exactly. So here's a Minnesota story. Prince, Minnesota. It was a tenuous transition, but there you go. Bill, you like pizza, right?
I love pizza.
Everybody loves pizza. So a former client of mine, Punch Pizza, had as a client when I was a freelancer. They have redesigned their website, and it's an excellent. I mean, redesigning your website is not a news story, obviously, but it is an excellent example of how a restaurant can tell their story. One of the things they so first of all, some background. Punch Pizza is makes genuine Neapolitan pizza. So Neapolitan pizza is fired with wood-fired brick ovens. They put the pizzas in for 90 seconds, and they come out. They're all charred. They're just completely unlike their actual Neapolitan pizza, so they're completely unlike American pizza. You get a Pizza Hut or whatever. The owners, John Serrano, started it. He lived as a child in Italy, and went to his favorite Neapolitan pizza place, and decided that he wanted to start a shop, and then brought on his co-owner, John Puckett, came on later. John Puckett started Caribou Coffee, and sold that, and got it, and loved Punch Pizza so much that he wanted to partner with them. So they did. Every other year, they take their managers on a trip to Naples. So they take all their managers of all their stores. They have a bunch of stores in the Twin Cities here. They take them on a trip to Naples, birthplace of Neapolitan pizza, and it's where they source their tomatoes. So they get their tomatoes. They have Mount Vesuvius tomatoes, which are the best tomatoes. They're grown at the foot of the Mount Vesuvius volcano. The rich soil, the temperature, the sun, all of those things combine to make these just fantastic tomatoes. So they get those, they have them, fly them in weekly, along with buffalo mozzarella. So mozzarella from the milk of buffalo, which they fly in from Italy as well. Just fantastic pizza. You hungry?
I am hungry. I have to tell you that there's a pizzeria around the corner from my house called G&J's Pizzeria, and every week they put a sign. They have a chalkboard, and they put a sign, and the recent sign said, "I don't trust people who don't like pizza. Off my planet, you monster."
There you go. So
today the sign says there's 2 kinds of people who love pizza and liars.
So when they were a client, I was like, you have to take a videographer along with you. Absolutely. On the trip to tell that story. So they finally have, and with their redesigned website, they posted videos of their trip. So they have a video of the famous Pizzeria di Michele, and that is the best representation, they say, of true Neapolitan pizza in the world. The simplicity of their pizzas are highlighted by the ingredients they use: hours-old mozzarella di bufala and tomatoes from the foothills of Mount Vesuvius. This is the pizzeria that inspired the Punch Pizza. Tastes of Naples is them going around trying all kinds of different restaurants and Italian food and wine and everything. And then they have another one called How to Eat a Pizza Like Italian, like an Italian. So Italians eat their pizza with knife and fork. They don't use their hands like we Americans.
In New York, we make fun of people who eat pizza with a knife.
That's how you're supposed to do it, BL. But if you're eating American pizza, then I guess you can do that. If you're eating genuine Neapolitan pizza, you got to use a knife and a fork. In Naples, they don't cut the pizzas for people. It's just a whole piece of pizza. So the traditional method is you just cut it into little pieces and go around the pizza while you devour it. There's the inside out method, where you cut from the inside and leave a circle of crust to last. And then there's the slice and roll pizza method. So you slice a strip of pizza and roll it up and fork it and eat it that way. So they have a video informing you how to eat pizza like an Italian.
Well, I always have to save the crust for Benny, my dog, because that's his favorite thing.
I don't know. I wouldn't share it with Benny.
I'm out of good news.
Well, no. I got one more tucked away here, and this is really good. So there is Money Supermarket is a British comparison website you can go to for comparison on insurance, on credit cards, and loans. And they've created a commercial in which they've recreated the final scene from the 1987 hit movie Dirty Dancing. But they replaced the roles of Patrick Swayze and Jennifer Grey with He-Man and Skeletor. It is the most awesome commercial. So we will have that in the show notes so you can watch that. It's fantastic.
That's hilarious. So that brings us to the worst news, yes?
It does indeed.
All right. Well, I was incensed when I saw this story. The Cincinnati Zoo has announced that they have a new Harambe. You cannot have another Harambe. That's just all there is to it. You can't just replace Harambe with another gorilla. There's not going to be another Harambe. This poor gorilla, whose name is Mashindi, looks terrified in all the pictures. He's a 9-year-old Western lowland silverback gorilla, and as you will recall, poor Harambe was killed by zoo officials after a 3-year-old boy climbed into his enclosure. So now, yeah, really. And now Mashindi is going to live with 2 female gorillas. But, Harambe lives on in songs and memes. And there was even a popular write-in of Harambe for Australia's Prime Minister in 2016. And so we'll have the Harambe songs and some related images. And, you just can't say we're replacing Harambe. I mean, that was just wrong. Bad PR.
Yeah, different name, right?
Well, I mean, just giving him a different name, just don't say you're replacing Harambe. Say we got another gorilla, but don't say he's Harambe's replacement.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we could have given that advice, right?
That's right, but they didn't ask us. What's wrong with them?
Well, another organization that didn't ask us was the Minnesota Vikings, who have done something. Well, this is from a story by Rochelle Olson at the Star Tribune, Minneapolis. The Vikings have hired a teenager, a self-described Gen Z guru named Jonas Stillman. He's an 18-year-old son and business partner of a marketing consultant named David Stillman. Well, first of all, let me rant about sort of this Gen Z naming of generations. I think I've had this rant before, but Gen Z, Gen Y are as meaningless as Gen X. If you're going to use a letter, I refer to the generation after the millennials as Gen V because it actually means something to me. It's virtual. They're a generation that have grown up in a majorly virtual world. 20-year lifespan for a generation. Late stage millennial is what this guy is. He's 18 years old. means he was born in 1999, so he's at the tail end of the millennial generation. He's not a Gen Z or whatever. But anyway, it's convenient for them to say that because they are marketing themselves, he and his father, as Gen Z, Gen X speaking team. They've co-authored a book on how to work with Gen Z in the workplace. In order to connect with Gen Z, this is a quote from the article, you must first recognize that we are our own unique generation, as if
like every other generation.
Right, yeah. Many leaders and organizations tend to blend us in with the millennials, which is a huge mistake. I agree it's a mistake, but you're a millennial. Stillman is expected to help the team on marketing and digital media content. Okay, I kind of get that, except I'm not going to take advice on that from an 18-year-old. I always say don't make the mistake of assuming that just because somebody uses social media, they know how to use social media.
Or that they have any kind of judgment about it.
Exactly, yeah. And he's gonna help them work on workplace culture at the team's new headquarters in Egan. And I'm wondering how that will work out when they hand out participation trophies in a building full of NFL football players.
Really, that's funny.
A guy named Joe Tamburino was quoted in this story. He's a lawyer and the president of the Downtown Minneapolis Neighborhood Association. He's worked with the Vikings on stadium issues, and he makes the point that the team missed a golden opportunity to hire a young person of color to work in a league where most of the players are black and the team executives are white. It's entirely true. White parents, by the way, are putting their kids into soccer and lacrosse because of the concussion issues. For black parents, football is often a viable career where, by comparison, fewer opportunities exist. So the future of the NFL is likely to include more African-American fans and fewer white fans. It would make sense to hire, if you're going to hire somebody like this, hire somebody of color to fill that role. But this whole thing is just all kinds of stupid.
You're in dangerous territory there, Dave.
Demographics.
Yeah, demographics, but okay. I'm not gonna say anything. Tell us about Facebook. Facebook's in deep trouble. I mean, the world is turning on Facebook like Facebook caused the problems. But tell us what happened.
Yeah, so there's a ProPublica story by Julia Angwin, Madeline Varner, and Ariana Tobin. And they have discovered that Facebook has approved ads targeted using audience categories that included Jew hater, Hitler did nothing wrong, and how to burn Jews. This was generated by an algorithm. Facebook say they weren't aware of what the algorithm had done. I believe them. There's Marketing Land's Tim Peterson has a write-up on this as well. So if there's a critical mass of people using that stuff on their Facebook profiles, Facebook's algorithm is going to recognize that and create a category for targeting. However, given everything that Facebook has been through recently, and even if they hadn't, they should have, thought of this and taken that into account in creating the algorithm. But yeah, they're under fire for a lot of that. They've since removed the ability for advertisers to target users based on input in these free-form text fields that were identified to be problematic. Among them were education, employment, field of study, and job title. Facebook cited in a press release to help ensure that the targeting is not used for discriminatory purposes. We are removing these self-reported targeting fields until we have the right processes in place to help prevent the issue. This sucks for a variety of reasons, one of which is the obvious that we just went over. The other of which is those are among the most valuable targeting criteria for Facebook advertising. I expect they're going to fix the problem and return those targeting options to advertisers. But I try and find audiences all the time through job titles, through the types of employment they have. So not having that option greatly reduces the value of Facebook advertising.
Well, this week, both Sheryl Sandberg and Mark Zuckerberg wrote basic apologies about this. And she said she was mortified that they didn't realize, and the responses, of which there were literally hundreds, maybe thousands by now, were, you should have known. You know, this is your job. You need to be responsible. So they're hiring like, thousands more human editors, and they're going to change their algorithms. Well, meanwhile, they were making a lot of money on the advertising that came through on these terms, and now the Congress is asking for their records,
Well, they're giving over their records now for the 3,000 ads or whatever that the
but I
Russians
mean,
bought.
they should have known. They absolutely should have known, and Google should have known, and Twitter should have known. These are not rocket science questions about who hates who, and there should have been an algorithmic solution to keeping this stuff from happening. So now there will be, maybe.
Yeah. Well, I mean, planning disaster scenarios and thinking about what can go wrong is part of the process of anticipating this type of stuff, but also having, and it's an issue across technology companies, is diversity of programmers, because most programmers are white males.
Yes, they are. And the bottom line here is there goes Mark Zuckerberg's ambitions of running for office, because, he really just put himself in a very bad spot. And I basically believe they're very good people. They just, it's too big. It's too big. And their ambition is too large for them to control at this point. And, they're going to have to like slow down, calm down, take a real look and see, how are they going to deal with these real world issues. And you can't tell me they weren't aware of it. I just don't believe it.
Well, in the case of the categories, I do believe they're created automatically, but it's not an excuse.
That's an algorithm that you should have had a doomsday, what if plan. We tell all our clients that, should have a dark blog ready to go in case there's something happening, all these things. And, the biggest site in the planet, it's not just them, it's Google, it's Twitter, it's everybody who is making money off of these connections. So yeah, there's a lot that has to change because of hate, though, because of hate.
Yeah. So here's another kind of weird story. This is an Inc. story by Minda Zetlin. So some Amazon merchants, she discovered, are getting cease and desist letters written by people pretending to be lawyers at law firms that don't exist. So that's what happened to Brushes for Less, the Amazon marketplace store, whose most popular product is a replacement toothbrush head, or was, until Amazon delisted it shortly before their Amazon Prime Day in July. Amazon sent an email to Brushes for Less owner to say that the product was being suspended because of an intellectual property violation complaint that was filed by an attorney from the law firm of Wesley and McCain in Pittsburgh. And in order to get the product reinstated, they had to contact that law firm to work things out. But Wesley and McCain didn't really exist. Its website, there was a website for it, showed a photo of lawyers that appeared to be stolen from a different law firm in Missouri.
Get out, really?
The phone number didn't work. Its physical address appeared to belong to a different law firm. The email address listed in the complaint turned out to be fake as well. So the owner of Brushes for Less told CNBC reporter Eugene Kim that Amazon could have figured out with a cursory 5 minutes of detective work. It took 2 months for Amazon to reinstate the product, and Brushes for Less most popular item was not available for sale on Prime Day, Amazon's busiest shopping day. And because of that, because Brushes for Less uses Amazon's fulfillment service, the brush heads spent 2 months in Amazon's warehouse, so they couldn't even sell them elsewhere. So he says the 2-month delisting cost him about $200,000 in sales. He generates about $2 million annually on Amazon sales overall. But, a vetting process for figuring out whether this looks like an attack from a competitor to me, but.
Well, there are other issues at Amazon. I know someone who sells a product that somebody stole from Amazon's warehouse and sold on eBay, and then they started selling her product and getting the money. And it has taken months and months. For Amazon does admit that they know that these were stolen from the warehouse, but they have yet to reimburse her for the money. And you don't really want to fight too much with Amazon if you're a supplier, because you might not be a supplier anymore, and Amazon's a place you want to be. And it's just been a horrible. It's gone on for months. It's absolutely gone on for months. And I said, well, you should get publicity for it. And she said, I think that would put me out of business in the long range. So, I mean, the bigness of all of Amazon and of Facebook and of all these huge companies, sometimes bites you in the ass.
Yep.
Okay.
We have new stuff?
I'm done with that rant.
Okay, are we on to shiny new stuff?
We are on to shiny new stuff, and I came across some that I kind of liked. This was the GeekWire 2017 App of the Year, and it's called Ripple, R-I-P-L, and you can create animated videos and share them on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And it's mobile only. It's for iOS and Android, and it makes images, videos, captions, and moving text. And you can do a lot of motion graphics, and you can even have text that zooms towards you or on a crawl, and it's fun to use and worth checking out.
Very cool. I have a resource. It's not so much an app, but a resource. Alexander Hamilton. You remember Alexander, right?
Oh yeah, we have statues of him.
Yeah, Alexander wrote in the Federalist 68, in Federalist Papers 68, these most deadly adversaries of a Republican government might naturally have been expected to make their approaches for more than one quarter, but chiefly from a desire of foreign powers to gain an improper ascendant into our councils by raising a creature of their own to the chief magistracy of the Union. That is the foreword, basically, to a website called Hamilton 68 Dashboard. It's a tool to arm yourself against Russian propaganda online. It's a collective research and development of Clint Watts, who is a national security analyst, former special agent for the FBI, J.M. Berger, who's an analyst and author on terrorism, Andrew Weisberg, who's author of Trolling for Trump, How Russia is Trying to Destroy Our Democracy, Jonathan Morgan, who's the founder of Data for Democracy. The team is working with the Alliance for Securing Our Democracy in its effort to develop strategies to secure democracies against external assault. The website, it's just a dashboard. It tells you what the top themes are, which displays data about Russian propaganda efforts on Twitter in near real time. So if you're seeing something pop up in Twitter and you want to check it out, check out this site. The site is dashboard.securingdemocracy.org. So it's got the top themes, the top tweets, the top hashtags, the trending hashtags, top trending topics, top and trending domains, hourly tweet ratios. So if there's something popping up that you have a question on, whether it's propaganda or not, run over here and check it out.
That sounds very interesting, really. So Scott Scowcroft told me about this. I haven't used it yet. It's open broadcaster software for live streaming. It's a free open source software for video recording and live streaming. And so it allows you to download and start streaming very quickly on any format, Windows, Mac, or Linux. And it being open source, it has some very cool options. And he's been learning how to use it, and he showed me some demonstrations of it. And so it's OBS, Open Broadcast, obsproject.com, and it's open broadcaster software, because there are a lot of issues with streaming differently in different platforms and what kind of content you end up with. So this is a way of making sure that the content that streams from any platform is going to come out at the same level of quality.
So is it designed to stream, to consolidate, to stream and then send out the proper streams to each channel, like Facebook and Periscope and YouTube? And
I'm not 100% sure how to answer that. I'd have to ask Scott.
That would be great if it did that.
Yeah, that might be what it's trying to do, but I can't be quite sure.
All right, well, we'll have to try it out and see.
It's a little geeky for me.
Yeah. All right, let's wrap this up. Connected TV penetration. Speaking of video, in total, 168.1 million people in the U.S. will use an internet-connected TV this year. That's up 10% over 2016. The most popular connected TV devices are, by brand, Roku with 38.9 million people using it. Google Chromecast, which is a little bit surprising to me, but maybe not. It's pretty inexpensive. 36.9 million people. Amazon Fire TV, 35.8 million people. And Apple TV with 21.3 million people. And that doesn't surprise me that it's at the bottom.
Well, I use Chromecast.
Yeah.
And it's quite wonderful,
Yeah.
you know, because you can take anything that's on the internet basically and cast it to your TV. So that has worked really well for me. It's $35.
Yep. I use both Chromecast and Amazon Fire.
Okay. What's Amazon Fire? Is that a
Amazon's?
set-top box?
They have both the set-top box and a Chromecast, a dongle type of thing. So you can get either one. Yep. Same.
So I upgraded my phone today. We'll see whether anything works now.
To what?
To iOS 11.
Oh,
Everything
okay.
looks and
Yeah.
sounds different, and Siri's different. Everything's different.
Yeah,
But
I'll
at
let you
any
play around with it for a while before.
I'm going to have to play. The type is huge. I mean, nobody's going to use reading glasses anymore.
That's
since
good then.
The type is huge. It's good for old people. So that brings us to the end of episode 202 of the Beyond Social Media Show. And you will find everything we discussed, the video and the links to all of the stories at beyondsocialmediashow.com/202. I am BL Ochman. I am at What's Next on Twitter. I blog at what'snextblog.com, and I have a YouTube channel for What's Next blog. And I have a company called Fun Walkers, which makes license plates for walkers and rollators, and they have funny sayings on them. David Erickson is on Twitter as D. Erickson. He blogs at estrategyblog.com and creativepr.com/blog, both of which you should subscribe to because he's always got great content. He's got a YouTube channel called eStrategy. The show online, again, I can't talk, on the web, beyondsocialmediashow.com. On YouTube, we're Beyond Social Media Show. We're on Twitter as BS Media Show. We're on iTunes, and we hope that you'll subscribe there and leave us a review. That would be great if you would do that. And we're on Stitcher and iHeartRadio and Google Play. And we will be back next week. Actually, Friday night again next week, right?
Yep.
Yeah, we'll be back next Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. And we thank you for watching tonight.
Thanks for watching.